is based on the metal prices on the metal market, but in a specific second, even a part of a second. So what I do is like that I was like checking the metal market prices like a few times a day, and I was noting it down, and after a while I realized that the metal prices are completely different. You know, if so you check them on Monday morning or Monday evening or whatever, like depending during the day, they're changing completely. And if you, as we all know, I think like metal prices are having like a very strong influence on daily objects. Like so, whatever you buy, like whatever kind of objects you buy, or like their price is also defined by the price of the metal market. So the metal market somehow is creating a certain kind of a reality we are like accepting, or we are confirming. So what I did is that I defined. Based on the value of gold, I was researching how much of the other metals traded on the metal market I would get for 5 grams of gold. So because that was like kind of my definition, and so I, of course, then I could calculate with a specific weight and the volume how much I would get of the pure metal. So I did this series for like I think 2 years or 3 years. So if you see the spheres together, for example, the size of the different metal boards are changing completely. So depending on the on the market, on your politic situations, it's changing quite a lot. Even the order of the metals is changing. And so so actually all my work is about agreements, social agreements, but also like knowledge of knowledge of this world or planet, or what we think we know and we agree on. I don't see time is not interesting for me because of its kind of, let's say, romantic interpretation, but it is super interesting for me because it's one of it's the main system. I mean, it's a system we created to structure our world and our lives, and so everything is kind of based on that, on the structure. But for me, the structure is any different structure as well, as weight, as measurements, whatever. So I mean, we have the structure. What I try to do is try to observe things, right? I mean, so what is time doing? What is causality doing? What is happening when a thing is falling down? Why is it not falling back? I mean, time is shaping objects, time is doing objects, time is destroying objects, or whatever this time actually is. So actually, I try to analyze that for myself. So I had the spurs, and on a certain moment, they've been just falling, So I was kind of interested in this moment, and they're bouncing back, and it takes time, until they're back in their former position. So you are kind of destroying a structure also, right? You have I have this bar somewhere lying there, and then something is happening. It kind of destroys its order. It causes causality. Something is happening to the object. So what I did is that I was just dropping it again, but I had a map on my floor. So I did all my floor was a map. It was a 5 to 5 meters, but in 10 centimeters, squares. And what I did is that I had 5 cameras, 4 on the floor and 1 on the ceiling. And I just dropped the spur. And then I had all these films, and on the computer I could exactly see where this object, based on this map, where this object has been in space in this, I think it was about 80 seconds of its movement, of this fall, right? And this fall is also gravity and forces, kind of to rebuild a very short moment in time of an object in space and time to a physical solid sculpture. So you're kind of, bringing, so you're kind of, no, it's even better, you're bringing all the moments of one object together in one object. So you're kind of, so it's all, no, it's all options of the object in this duration of time, and they are kind of melted together in one thing. I hate mirrors, to be honest. Yeah, I hate them in art especially because they're quite tricky, and they are very loaded, and they are tricky, and people love them. And so what I try to do is, I really try to work it out. I try to destroy them, I try to scratch them, I try to dent them, I try to bend them, I try to deny them, I try to break them. So I try to do I try to do everything possible to kind of I don't know, get through it a bit. I try to, to see it more like like an option, like a screen. So I was creating this dance. I was just, polishing away actually the surface of the glass, and I was sanding it back and polishing it back. So it creates this dance. Like it looks very unreal in a way. So it's like, because it brings you to this. It kind of destroys this picture, the mirror picture. So I was like asking myself, okay, what is this mirror doing? I mean, it's just like, okay, it's reflecting this object, but it's kind of turning it because of the direction of the light. So what if I just copy the object? I mean, do I need the mirror? I mean, is it a mirror then? If I take away the job of the mirror, actually. So I'm copying everything what I'm doing, what the mirror is doing, right, around the mirror. So the mirror more became then like a frame. More than a mirror, because actually what you expect to see is like this typical reflected objects, but as the objects themselves are their own copies. So it's kind of denying itself, and it kind of gives you a different, I would just say, a different option for your point of view, rather than a reflection of an object. And you can't really see if it's a real, what is a picture of an object, what is the object itself. So it's also like, and if you just change your point of view, reality is probably not what it seems to be for you. Yeah. It's like you just have to get like a different point of view, and probably the truth is not the truth, and probably stones are made of aluminium. I know, but it's like, it could be different. It just depends on you. So it's more about the viewer and the point of the viewer. And what I try to say is like, don't believe anything, because it's you. It's your point of view. It's not what it is. It's just you being placed in whatever, in your education, your relation, your kind of sense of reality. For Venice, because I went there, I've seen the space, and I knew what Venice. I mean, I've been there so many times, so. You know how people walk, how they behave, what you have to expect of it. So it's also about that. So I wanted to build something where you're like forced to go through. You can't escape. You have to kind of enter and go through, and which is also including the space itself, what it does in Venice. So it's what I was explaining before with the mirror. So it's very much based on the architecture, and it is blocking your way and your view, more your view than your way actually. Through the reflection of the space. So it's like, there's no wall, but there's a reflected wall. So you expect a wall, but there's no wall. So it's like more about, what you create in your mind, like expectations, and then objects seem to appear and disappear. So it's like a floating display somehow. And but the viewer is needed to create it, because the viewer has to move, and then the image is moving. Because this kind of maze thing was at 303 Gallery when I had like 3 of these pieces together. And they also already have been based on, the placement was based on the space. So they've been like, kind of taking some symmetrical axes, but then also like being like breaking it again. And but then when I've seen also like how people moved in Venice, and this blocking and like letting them in, but blocking them as well, I decided to use that in Boston, but like as a real, let's say, really blocking them. Yeah. But then we had this view through the pipe, so it's like it was both. You've been blocked to go further, but you've been able to see what you would see if you would be able to go. And it's always, for me, to be honest, it's always such a big relief when I have something which I can, base my structure on as well. Yeah. So it was just perfect. And I was thinking, but what is beautiful, what is a maze? I mean, the maze was invented in Renaissance in France, actually. And the Renaissance was a time when people got a mirror in front of their face, right? So if they've been like teachers, the world is not a flat something, that, probably they're not the middle of the universe. And that was the same time when mazes have been very popular. To kind of the thing, to lose yourself, to be unsure about your position as a human being also. And that is why that comes very close for me, like kind of it makes sense.